What's up, everyone? Tania here with PopCulture.com, and today we're welcoming beloved radio show host, American Idol mentor, best-selling author, and now the star of National Geographic's Breaking Bobby Bones, premiering on Memorial Day. Mr. Bobby Bones is here with us. Bobby, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm super pumped to be able to talk with you.
Yeah, I'm super pumped too. So, let's talk about Breaking Bobby Bones because it's such a fun show. And the show's name is so hilarious. I think it's so funny that it's a show basically just you trying out all these different things. And so, the show's premiering on May 31st, National Geographic. And it's such a fun, inspiring play on your mantra, fight, grind, repeat, with a very compassionate touch. So, tell us about the show and what fans can expect with each episode.
For me, it was important to really highlight people as much as it was me. And, when I was coming up with the idea for the show, we were creating it. It was, obviously I wanted to go out and add some levity to a situation where I'm trying these adventures or these skills or jobs, but mostly, it's about the people that I'm with. In the first episode, it's a guy named Mike who was in a gang. He was in prison. He had been in a lot of trouble. And it was to the point where he didn't think his life was going to matter much because people were telling him it wasn't. And so he went and found something called rope access. He's one of the best in the country. And it's what you do when you can't get to a high place. If it's under a bridge, the top of a fancy landmark, or in my case, it was hanging 4,000 feet on a rope over the Grand Canyon. And I hate heights. So I had to go do that. But it's learning his story. And really through every episode, it's about, not if, but when adversity hits us, how do we react? And hopefully we react like all of the people that I've been with, because they've all had some situations that have happened or are happening now, and they have fought through it. And I want people to watch this show and relate it to what they're going through, because we're all going through something right now. We all have our story that people don't know about, or our struggle that maybe a few do, but it's about knowing that there is no achievement that cannot be accomplished. And so that's what this show is. And it was, I had a bunch of influences, obviously. I love Idiot Abroad, where he goes to other countries and just is terrible at everything. And that's basically what I am, in a way here. I love Move That Bus, Extreme Home Makeover, where at the end they move the bus and something great happens. And there's that at the end of every show. And, I love just compassionate stories. I grew up with a struggle, and a lot of these people that I've put on the show did as well, had some sort of struggle in their life. And I just wanted people to relate. And when the show ends and you turn it off, that you just feel better about yourself or about what you can do. That's the goal. And if you don't feel that way when you finish watching the show, I failed. So I hope people really like it and take that from it.
Yeah, and see, that's what I love about the show. It takes us also to these corners of, the country where we've never really been to. It's a lot of people. They're everyday people with unique jobs and skills, and it gets very emotional. So what was the common thread between all these people that you did meet that left you inspired?
That they didn't let their situations define them, and one way or another, there were a lot of unfortunate, situations or circumstances that their life had traveled into, and they didn't let that be the end of their story. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's about the underdog. It's about perseverance. I think that's a common thread in the show. Mm-hmm. It's about, you, me, it's about what we're going through. And, most folks, don't think big things can happen, but they did. And I want people to see that. And again, hopefully it's almost like a mirror. Hopefully they can see themselves in these people, maybe a little bit of me, and, they can go and, have a little bit of that same fire.
Mm-hmm. And the show's tagline, "You name it, he'll try it." It kind of blends moments from your adventures in a very inspiring, spot for us, especially like you've been putting up a lot of pictures on Instagram. So I'm wondering, what was the most surprising thing you tried out that you never thought you'd be able to do?
I hated almost every episode doing them because it was just really hard. And I don't like adventure. And I basically have an adventure show now. It's the craziest thing, but I think that's why I do, because I wanted to show that just, you don't have to be comfortable at something to actually grow. Heck, we don't grow unless we're uncomfortable a bit. Right. I did some deep sea fishing. We drug a net on the bottom of the ocean floor, and I vomited for 2 days. I didn't know I was going to get seasick because I'd never been on the sea like that before. I played sled hockey, which is basically ice hockey. But Ralph, the guy I was with and was learning his story, he had served our country in Afghanistan, and both of his legs were blown off in a bomb. Mm-hmm. And so he came back to the States, had never played hockey, learned hockey, and then learned sled hockey because you don't need your legs on sled hockey. And he plays for the U.S. sled hockey team. They won a gold medal. I got to compete. I mean, they beat me up pretty good. But, I never played hockey growing up in Arkansas. That to me was fun. I was pretty banged up after that episode, those few days, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And so that's the thing, you're meeting all these people and it gets really emotional and it becomes like a tearjerker sort of thing. So what did you learn most about yourself during this journey on the show?
I just learned there's a lot of other people out there like me. Sometimes I think we all feel alone. We feel like, our problems are, just owned by us,
Yeah.
which isn't the case. I mean, we don't see a lot of other people's issues because they're not all flaunting around on Instagram.
Yeah.
So, to go and to talk to other people that are going through it and have had big struggles, I often have felt alone in my struggles.
Mhm.
But the more I get out, the more I tour, the more I do this show, the more I can actually go and actually touch people and meet folks. Um, that's when I realize we're all very similar. That's also what irritates me so bad when it comes, to politics too. It's like people are fighting like crazy, but it's only because they're watching the news or reading about it on their computer. They're not actually getting out and experiencing it with people. We are so similar in so many ways. And for me, I felt that anyway, but it it really, was deeply entrenched in me after I finished shooting this season.
Mhm. Is there going to be any sort of like, how we watch the other shows like Extreme Maker, Home Edition, and all that stuff? We do see, the hosts getting emotional and they start crying. Did you break down a little bit during some of these stories? Because I can imagine they're real people. They tug at your heartstrings.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
For example, Marina, who she went to a school to be like a commercial diver. I didn't even know what that was. I knew you dove and I knew people did stuff underwater, but it's 100-pound suit that you're wearing that kind of keeps you, tethered to the ground, basically. You're weighted down, you have all this oxygen, and you're doing construction on the bottom of the ocean floor. And to do that was difficult, but her story where, she had to take care of her mom was sick and her mom died, her dad left her, to see that she slept in her truck the last couple of months of school because she wanted to have enough money when she finished school to be able to move across the country to actually work. And so to learn her story and at the end to do something really special for her like that, that's where it really, makes me emotional to be able to give back, because I wouldn't be here without people giving to me.
Mhm.
If it were, a youth pastor or a football coach or people looking out for me when I was younger. And so for me to be able to do this for folks as well, that makes me emotional. And you see me choke up a few times on the show for sure.
Mhm. You say you're not into like adventure and stuff, but I feel like you're a bit of a daredevil because, aside from this show, you were recently on an episode of Bear Grylls and it was your second in total. So I'm wondering, do you consider yourself maybe an adrenaline junkie after all of it?
No, none.
No,
Actually, less. Like
less. Okay.
I did Bear the first season and I thought, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. And the whole time I was there, I was like, this is miserable. Love Bear, but hate heights and ropes and cold. And so I finished and I was very proud of myself when we were in Norway and the episode did really well. And I was just proud of it, but I was never going to do it again. Well, then they came back and said, will you do another episode? I was like, never, no way. They
Right.
said, well, it'd be great to promote Breaking Bobby Bones and we'd like your fiance to be on it too. And I was like, I don't think so. And they were like, but no couple has ever done it in the history of the show. I was like, okay, I love to break boundaries. So let's go. So we did it. It was, again, extremely tough. She cried. It
Uh-huh.
was hard, but it was one of the greatest experiences we've ever had.
Yeah. I feel like, when people always say if you really want to test a relationship, go to, travel and stuff. I feel like this was the extreme test too for like you guys to like, put your weight on each other, go out, get there into like the wilderness. It's not easy, I bet.
It was awful. And, they're pushing us to our mental and physical limits.
Mhm.
And so anytime you go on Bear Grylls, you're going to have an adventure with him like no adventure you've ever had.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to push yourself. And I did both episodes and I really had to with Caitlin in multiple ways because, I wasn't just concerned for myself this time. I was also concerned for her.
Right. Your book also, I feel like it ties so perfectly into the show. It's called Fail Until You Don't, Fight, Grind, Repeat. And it's such a great empowerment tool as well for a lot of us. And I know your show now is a testament to that grind and hustle. So I'm wondering, like, after the year everyone's had, what would you say to those feeling wanting to actually make their own life changes, but they're feeling uninspired or they're feeling inspired maybe even to do something?
Well, it ain't easy, but it's worth it. And if it were easy, everybody would be doing it, right? I mean, it's precious because it's hard. And
Mhm.
so it's supposed to be though. And every bit of work that you put into it is actually worth it. And there are times where you feel like it's not. I get it. The grind is tough every day. No one watching, nobody celebrating you, nobody caring. and you think you're just kind of running in a hamster wheel. At least I have many times in my life. But I've always told myself that on the end of this rope, whenever I finally achieve whatever it is I'm going for, it is going to be worth it threefold. And so I continue to push, and I haven't been wrong yet. So any goal I've ever had, and I haven't met them all yet, but any goal that I've had, that I've reached has always been even sweeter because of the work I went into it. And then I was even smarter because of it. And I was able to help other people. And this is the most important thing, help other people reach their goals as well. So I think if you look at it that way, it's just an investment. It's an investment into you and your future. And yep, it ain't easy. But like I said, if it was easy, everybody be doing it, and everybody ain't doing it.
And I feel like you really do dare yourself all the time, and it's so inspiring to see. And you actually took that boldness to Dancing with the Stars. You won the show. It was awesome. I'm wondering, would you ever want to compete on a show like The Masked Singer or The Masked Dancer? I know that they did think you were the monster, I think in 2019 for The Masked Singer. So I'm wondering if you ever want to go to that.
Dancing with the Stars was so out of my comfort zone, and I didn't win because I was the best dancer. I won because the people and we bonded, and they were just looking out for their own. That's why I won that show. I worked harder than anybody else and still was not good. But those other shows, here's my genuine concern about doing The Masked Singer or The Masked Dancer. I'm just so not famous. They would never get me. They would never guess me because they don't know who I am. They would be like, we have no idea. And then I would just be embarrassed again. I'd be embarrassed because I got cut, and I'd be embarrassed because I'm not famous, and nobody would know who I was. They would sit on that judging panel and be like, yeah, we never heard of them. So as of now, I don't think that's on the horizon.
I think that the clues would have been so nice because it would be like, you've achieved so much. So I think you're not giving yourself enough credit, because I feel like you'd probably win the show. You'd shock them. They'd never guess it, which is a good thing. Because
they would never guess it, because it's like guessing a mailman in Tupelo, Mississippi. You haven't met him yet. You don't know who he is. But I think those shows are fun. But for me right now, apparently I'm an adventure hunter now. And so I'm out, and I'm hoping people watch Breaking Bobby Bones.
Yeah.
In a weird way, I hope we have season 2. I mean, like 90% of me is really hoping for season 2.
Yeah.
The 10% of me that doesn't is like my body going, you know what? Maybe that's not the best idea.
Right. Speaking of competitions, and before I do let you go, American Idol, you got to mentor all these contestants this past season, and we had a lot of shakeups also. So I'm wondering, like, what advice would you have for the winner coming up this year?
It's only a step, meaning all the work is yet to happen. I've been on a competition show too, and that lasts for a couple of months afterward, but people move on, and it's the next season of American Idol, and you move to LA or Nashville permanently, and nobody cares. And so, you have a jump off point, which is fantastic. You have a base, which a lot of people don't have. So you have to use that to your advantage, and you have to kind of, reap what you've sown quickly. Yeah. So it is just to know that you're going to have a shot, but that window is only open for a second. And so there's no lollygagging around. Like, it's time to go to work and go hard and fast. And you think you've worked hard? You haven't quite yet. But congratulations, you get to do it. You waited your whole life to be able to get to do this. Yeah. So get to work, kid. That's what I tell them. Get to work, kid.
Yeah, that's so great. Bobby, it's been so much fun talking to you, and thank you for taking the time today. So Bobby Bones' new National Geographic show, Breaking Bobby Bones, premieres Monday, May 31st at 10 p.m. Eastern with 2 back-to-back episodes. Then the show will move Sundays to 10 Eastern with 2 new episodes premiering each week. For more with Bobby, the show, and all your favorite stars, keep it locked to PopCulture.com.